Hello, everybody. Welcome to my channel, and thank you for joining. Now, in today's episode, we're gonna go through the West Coast Eagles and the North Melbourne game. Okay, and now this game has done my head in because I'm gonna break my rules, and I'm gonna have to spend over 600k on one certain player. Just coming down. Now, we're going to start first with the West Coast Eagles team and Supercoach relevant players. And there isn't many, but the ones that are very interesting. Okay, now the first one off the bat we're going to talk about is Matt Flynn. He has not been in my team all year, not once. Okay, I've not even looked at him. Okay, we didn't even talk. He walked past me, I walked past him. We didn't even shake hands or say hello, just coming down. But anyway, he went and scores a 98. Okay, now he's a 260k player, scoring a 98 against Sherry, and he had a -9 at the start of the game, so he gave Sherry a head start. So it became then interesting. Okay, now I saw some stats from Fantasy Freako, and Matt Flynn had 8 hitouts to advantage. Sherry only had 4. Okay, so Matt Flynn in the ruck actually did a decent job, even kicked a goal. So is Matt Flynn on your radar now? So he's a player to add to our watch list. Okay, well, with the watch list, we don't have much time to watch anymore because we're going to start picking our teams. So he's a player to think about. Going further down, Baker, he's in our forward lines, scored a 95. It's a decent score, had 18 disposals, kicked a goal. It's a player to think about anyway, but I'm not 100% sold on Baker, but he looks decent value, I suppose. He's going to always score 80s, 90s, the odd 100, so he's that kind of player. Now, if we go further down, we go to the Governor. Okay, now, had 15 disposals. What was his marks? He took virtually 4 intercept or contested marks. Okay, something in between there. I haven't got the exact figures, but there was 4 of them, and scored a 78. He took all the kick-ins. Okay, so he was in virtually second gear. He wasn't doing much, but taking the kick-ins was very handy, and he actually took all the kick-ins. Okay, but whenever he was off the ground, then someone else took the kick-ins, because I was watching him very close for the kick-ins. And there was a player that had the ball. Okay, could have been anyone. Okay, it could have been. Let's just say, for argument's sake, the player with the ball was Goff or Ginby, whoever held the ball in their hands, ready to kick the ball. They saw in the corner of their eyes, they saw the Governor. Okay, and they melted. And then Governor walked towards them, just gave him the ball. He was the actual governor of the defensive department. So the Governor has got all the kick-ins. So I think he's going to finish top 6 this year, especially with the kick-ins and contested marks, because he wasn't playing full-back. He was playing the same role as last year. They had hoof or half. I can't even pronounce it. It's too, sounds like a wind, okay? Hoof or half or whatever his name is. Hugh. Okay, probably it's Hugh. Okay, anyway, Hugh was in full-back. So the Governor looked good. Now, going further down, who's Supercoach relevant here? Let's have a look. There isn't many. There's Hutchinson, but he's on that wing. Okay, now I don't like that wing role. Okay, I've been talking about that wing role for a long time. Last week we saw him score 100. This week he scored a 48. That's what the wing role does. Okay, it doesn't give you guaranteed points. So Hutchinson, it's something you can think about. Now, Duar. Okay, now he's interesting. Okay, now. Dewar, with 1/4 of game, 33% game time, scored a 43. Now, the only problem with Dewar is he's not cheap, okay? So he's about 170k-ish, okay? And as you can see, last year, he didn't do much, okay? So he actually scored more in 1/4 in that practice game than he did virtually for a full game last year. So it's a player to think about anyway if you can't find enough players, but at his price, I'd probably go for a Sam Pepper or something like that. So probably going to be a pass on Dewar. Now let's go back. Close this now. Okay, let's go back to this game. Reed is another interesting player. Had 77% time on ground, scored a 38. He's a ruck forward in our teams. Not a player that you can put on field, but they're missing a few tall forwards. So he did play in the forward line, so job security might be a problem. We also had Williams play in the forward line. Okay, now again, Oscar Allen wasn't playing, so he was taking Oscar Allen's spot. So when Oscar Allen does play, where does he play? That a good question. Okay, so that's something to consider. The player that we want to see a lot of was Maric. Okay, but unfortunately Maric didn't play. So pre-season there was a bit of talk about him, and he didn't play. And we have some bad news with one of our rookies in regards to scoring potential, and that's Allen. Played a full game, okay, and scored -12. Okay, unfortunately, the young boy, the conditions didn't suit him that well, so you're gonna pay 130k for Allen, and I'm not sure if he's up to is going to make cash or is going to lose cash. I mean, that 132k could end up being 99k. We don't know, so probably going to be a pass on Allen, unfortunately. So it's another rookie defender that we're going to lose. We now go to North Melbourne, and let's go to Supercoach points and Cheezels. Okay, now he was going nuts. Okay, he had 36 disposals. It was a practice game. I understand some players in practice games that they play in second gear. Some players play on their fifth gear, okay? They think they're driving a Ferrari. So Cheezels was driving a Ferrari on the weekend or yesterday, and scored 170 Supercoach points, and he was just there telling us, hello, I'm here, okay? I should be in your teams, and probably has now got me settled in, and I'm going to pick him now. I'm gonna have to splash the cash. I've got no choice. I can't watch him score 150s every week and go nuts, and I don't own him, so he's a must-have, okay, I think, if you can afford. Eventually, you need to bring him in anyway. Now, Sherry scored a 141, okay, looked impressive, but then again, we know what Sherry can do, and then his opponent was Flynn, so Flynn is a decent ruckman to play against, so Flynn wasn't that bad, okay, so Flynn had 23 hitouts, Sherry had 34, so it was a good matchup for Sherry, but he did well, but then again, we expected from him. LDU, okay, now, he had a good game. I haven't seen LDU tackle like this for ages, okay? Like, when I owned the LDU, he was playing nothing like this. Something must have happened to him over pre-season, and he started tackling, had 3 tackles. I understand it's not many, but it's the way he approached those 3 tackles. It was ferocious. So, he looked decent, okay? Now, keep in mind that North Melbourne will have the round 12 bye, okay? So, how many of these round 12 bye players can we have is another question. So, you got Cheezels, Sherry, then you got LDU, then you got Callum Daniel next up, because Callum Daniel, even though he was going slow at one stage, wasn't doing much, all of a sudden his scoring just came very quick in very short bursts. So, he just told us that you need to pick me, 113, and that's pretty much, I expect him to score that every week, between 100, 110, 120, and virtually is a gift for us. So we're happy. We'll take the gift and we'll lock him in. Now, Tom Powell, the imposter. Okay, now he's one of the Connors from last year. Now, I don't know how much he's improved, but I remember owning him last year, and I was pulling my hair out. I sacked him halfway through, and then he made me pull my hair out more because he was taking kick-ins after I sacked him. So I don't know about Tom Powell. There was players missing. Simpkin wasn't playing. Parker wasn't playing. So how much is mid-time is he going to get? We don't know. So if you're interested, Tom Powell is very cheap and can score a 107. Okay, but it's something that you have to decide. Now, Jack Darling had 106 Supercoach points with 15 possessions. If anything, Darling impressed me, because I remember at West Coast when he was at his best, he looked decent. Well, he was rubbing salt into West Coast wounds because he was at his best yesterday. So we don't know how long this is going to last, but Jack Darling did look decent yesterday. We'll have a look at his price later on. Finn O'Sullivan. Now, Finn O'Sullivan played wing, and then first half, and the second half moved to the half-back line, had 18 disposals, scored a 99, looked decent. Okay, he's doing my head in there right now because I can't afford Finn O'Sullivan, so how are we going to get him in? And he looked really good. McKercher, the Kirch, went and scored 87. He doesn't have the kickings like he did last year, and the role is not going to suit him. So he's virtually priced at what he can score. I think maybe he's got a small upside of maybe an extra 50k, but that's about it. So I'd be wary of McKercher unless he goes back to defence, and then he could be a jet again. So we'll see how he goes with his role changes, because we know at North the roles change all the time. Okay, so he may go back to defence. Now, going further down, players of interest. Let's try to find a few. Well, Griffin Logue, I'm going to see his price soon, and scored a 76, so it's a decent score. I'm not sure what his price at, so he wasn't in my radar at all. So I'll have to look later on when we do the go for the teams. Anyone else that's Supercoach relevant? Let's go down. Okay, there's not many. Okay, Constant only at 23. Pink didn't play. Tickle didn't play. That's pretty much summing up North Melbourne, because we didn't see Parker play, and I really wanted to see Parker. So that was a letdown, okay, you could say. And I actually want to see Parker with Simpkin in the team. So anyway, let's move on. Now, first up in our defences, I think Sheasel's a lock. I think McGovern, even though he's not a lock for round one, he will be a lock eventually. I think he'll be top 6, especially with kick-ins, okay? And he's going to take all of them, because it's not just 1 or 2 or 5 or 6, every single one of them. And West Coast, I mean, they look decent this year, but they're still a young team. So there's going to be a lot of scores kicked against them. So he'll be very busy in that defensive area. Going further down, I'm not sold on Colby McKercher. Okay, that's one, and plus the round 12 bye, so I'm not sold on him. The fish, you can forget it. Okay, he's not the fish. We're not going to go fishing this year for the fish, so he's a no goods. Going further down, anyone of interest? Well, Griffin Lug, just saw his price 242k, so probably a pass. At that price, I wanted to go at 90.95. The role not there for him, so probably a pass. Is there anyone else? Let's have a look. Well, Bergman did play, okay, but didn't score much. Let's go back there. I didn't realise Bergman was that cheap. And now go back to Bergman. Live scoring. What did Bergman do? How much time did he play? Bergman, he only had, well, not even half a quarter. Okay, in half a quarter he scored 38. That's incredible. Okay, so Bergman, keep an eye on him. Okay, so not much time, and 38 points. He's a jet. Okay, if he can score like this rate, he's scoring at 2 points a minute. That's unheard of. So let's go back to the team. So keep an eye on Bergman if he plays round 1. Okay, if he's got job security, it could be huge. Bo Allen, unfortunately, the opposite of Bergman. If Bergman scored at 2 points a minute, Allen lost 12 points for the whole game. It was a -12, so the complete opposites. So I think Allen, unless you're desperate, he may get time on ground. They may play him still, but it's going to be a slow burn with Allen. So if you can't find anybody, you can just put him there. Maybe eventually he'll come good. Is there anyone else? I was hoping to see Brock, but we didn't see him, so we're going to cross him off the list. Now we move over to the midfield, and we spoke about LDU. So LDU, with that round 12 bye, is a problem, okay, but doesn't mean that you don't have to have him, okay. So I had him last year. He was decent. I pulled my hair out one of the rounds, but he was okay most of them. So LDU's not too bad. Go further down. Harley Reid was mentioned, but I'm not sure Harley Reid can average 100, to be honest. And at 434k, you want a 100 plus average. I don't think he can do it. Let's go further down. Tom Powell. Okay, he's only mid this year. If he was mid forward, I would be interested. He'll be a con artist. Would get me again, but at mid only. And I had him last year, and I wasn't happy. But he could spoil the party and then trick us all and go nuts first 5 rounds. We all jump on, and then he does nothing again. So Tom Powell's one to watch anyway. Now, we didn't see Sinkin play. Go further down. Okay, we're going to go further down. We didn't see Luke Parker. They're going to be forwards anyway, so we don't need them in the midfield. Let's go further down. Can't see anybody. We didn't see Clay Hall. Okay, he was one that I wanted to see. He didn't play. We didn't see Gross. Okay, I was told in some of my videos when I put up some reviews, they said trust me, Hall and Green Gross will play. Well, they didn't play. Just coming down. Yeah, in the rucks, Sherry is locked in a lot of teams, 54% to be exact. So more than half the people own Sherry, and now Flynn is now in 16% of teams. So Flynn has got a bit of love coming back towards him. So we'll see how Flynn. Now Flynn is a gamble. Okay, he's not a lock. He's a gamble. If he plays as a permanent number one ruck, then he's a lock. We don't know if he has the number one ruck role, although he did have it in that practice game. Does he have it during the season? Well, I don't know. I can't answer that question. So that's the gamble you're going to take with Flynn. Okay, it's risk versus reward, because the reward could be huge if he's a number one ruck. Could go 90 plus, 95 plus. If he's not the number one ruck, then could go 60s. So it's a risk versus reward thing with Flynn. If you go to the forward line, there's a lot of players here that are sort of mid-priced. Okay, Liam Baker, Simpkin. Now Simpkin could be a good one. Okay, now for 29k. Could be worth the risk. Although, when you got players like the Horny Man, and you got players like Rankin, then you got McRae, you can't fit all these players in. So you might have to pass on Simpkin, especially at 429k, because you can get other players in the midfield like Chera, who's got permanent midfield, whereas Simpkin may have midfield forward status. So it's something to think about anyway. If you go mid-price madness, another player in the midfield was Jack Graham. Again, scored at 376. He's going to play mid, possibly a bit of forward. What did he score? Okay, let's go back to Jack Graham. I must have missed him. Okay, back over here. Which one is this one? Jack Graham. Because at Richmond, Jack Graham wasn't a massive scorer of points, and here again, 76. That's pretty much what he scored at Richmond. Okay, and 17 disposals. His kicking efficiency is not 100%. He's a good tackler. Okay, even he had 6 tackles. He just can't kick the ball. Okay, sometimes he can. A lot of times when you watch him, you struggle to see the kicks. Now going further down, a player that we didn't see was Luke Parker, and I really wanted to see him. He's owned by 19%, so a lot of people wanted to see him, but I'm not sure, was it he was illness or whatever it was. He didn't turn up, so didn't play. Now, going further down, so if you own Luke Parker, what do you do? Okay, that's another question. Okay, you got 19% of owners. I'd panic. That's what I would do, because I want to see what I'm paying for. It's a blind bet, because you don't know how much mid-time he's going to get, because North Melbourne have got a lot of midfielders, and now Powell is stepping up. What happens when Parker comes? Does Powell move out? We didn't even see Simpkin, so it's going to be interesting, North Melbourne midfield. Now, going further down, I think Caleb Daniel is owned by 71%, okay, and that should be 100%. Everyone should have Caleb Daniel, so he's a lock, especially at North Melbourne taking kick-ins, and we saw what players doing kick-ins at North Melbourne can do. Jack Hutchinson, I'm not sold on. Maric looks like a pass. It doesn't look like he's going to be in the best 22. Hewitt, we didn't see him play. Okay, I was really wanted to see him play, but apparently he's not well at the moment. So Hewitt, hopefully he plays in round 1. Okay, so we can lock him in. I just got asked a question on my YouTube channel by a young man. Okay, a young man by the name of Ruzzy, and he asked Hewitt averaged 120 when he played similar CBAs in 5 of his last 6 games, and is 0% owned. What are my thoughts on him? Now, I think with Hewitt, I looked him up. He's about 490k. It's a good price, or 495, maybe 500k. But this year we are blessed with so much value. Like, you can get a Rosie at 520k ish. You can get I can see Newcomb going nuts this year, maybe, if you back off what he did last year. So I'd probably pass on Hewitt and take a risk on some of these other players for that reason. Although Hewitt is a pod, the funny thing is, some of these other players, like you got Newcomb, he's only 1% or 2% owned, and you got players like the weapon. Okay, Richards, he's like 1 or 2% owned, so I'd probably take a risk on one of those ahead of Hewitt's. Plus Hewitt's got that around 12 buy, which is not convenient. Anyway, that's all for today. Thank you for joining, and remember one thing: it's nice to be important, but it's important to be nice. Ciao for now.
That's all, folks.